Hola clase, hoy nosotros vamos a hablar de los verbos de ER y IR, ER and IR verbs, and how to conjugate them. La meta, yo puedo conjugar los verbos de ER y IR. I can conjugate ER and IR verbs. Now think back to before Christmas break when we talked about how to conjugate our AR verbs, those verbs that ended in AR in their infinitive form, their most basic form. For example, the verb hablar. Hablar is an AR verb, and we learned how to conjugate this to make it appropriate for all of the different forms, all of the different subjects that we might have. Yo hablo, tú hablas, él, ella, usted habla, nosotros hablamos, ellos hablan. O, as, a, amos, and an. You can see here, o, as, a, amos, and an were our AR verb endings. That means if a verb ends in AR, like hablar, cantar, bailar, practicar, we conjugate the verb, meaning we put it in its forms according to this chart here and with these endings. So cantar would be canto, cantas, canta, cantamos, cantan. Practicar, yo practico, tú practicas, él, usted practica, nosotros practicamos, ellos or ellas or ustedes practican. These, however, only apply to AR verbs. In this chapter, we're going to talk about ER and IR verbs. For example, comer, beber, escribir, vivir. We conjugate them with these endings. O, es, hemos, or hemos, en. Now, ER and IR verbs, I like to write in the same chart because they share most of the same endings. So why memorize a whole nother chart for most of the same endings? The only subject where they differ is nosotros. ER verbs use hemos, IR verbs use hemos. Other than that, they're the same. So o, es, hemos, or hemos, en. O, es, hemos, hemos, en. Here are a couple examples. Comer is to eat. That's an ER verb. Yo como, tú comes, él or ella or usted come, nosotros comemos, ellos, ellas, ustedes comen. Compartir is an IR verb, to share. Yo comparto, tú compartes, él, ella, usted comparte, nosotros compartimos, ellos, ellas, ustedes comparten. So, notice that the yo form ends the same way, the tú form ends the same way. The él, ella, usted form ends the same way, and so does the ellos, ellas, ustedes form. However, notice the difference in our nosotros form. For compartir, which is an IR verb, we use nosotros compartimos. For comer, which is an ER verb, in the nosotros form, it's comemos. So in yo, tú, él, usted, ellos, ellas, ustedes, ER and IR verbs are conjugated using the same endings. But in the nosotros form, we have to differentiate. Hemos for ER verbs, hemos for IR verbs. Más ejemplos. Let's practice with the verb comer, an ER verb. So again, think of your ER endings. O, es, hemos, and en. Okay, so take a minute, pause the video, and go ahead and write in the endings according to subject, or conjugate the verb comer according to the subject. For example, the subject is yo, we would write como. Pause the video so that you can do the other 8 sentences. All right, let's see how you did. Yo como, tú comes, él come, ella come, usted come. Nosotros comemos, ellos comen, ellas comen, ustedes comen. So yo como, I eat. Tú comes, you eat. Él come, he eats. Ella come, she eats. Usted come, you eat, if you're speaking formally to somebody. Nosotros comemos, we eat. Ellos comen, they eat. It can be all boys or a group of boys and girls. Ellas comen, and then ustedes comen, you all eat. Ustedes comen, you all eat. Okay? If you didn't get them right, See if you can figure out why, or make a note to ask me tomorrow in class. A practicar parte B. Escribe la forma correcta del verbo en paréntesis. Frases completas. Please copy down the entire sentence and then fill the correct form of the verb in the space. For example, in número 1, you would write down in your notebook, mi hermano, space, la pizza todos los días. In the space, you would write, come, because that's the correct form for our subject, mi hermano. So pause the video now so that you can complete this. Okay? And for this one, I'm going to go ahead and give you the answers because I really want to make sure you understand how to do this. So go ahead and check your answers. If you've gotten any wrong, circle them. Go back through the video, see if you can figure out why. And if you're stumped, make sure you make a note to ask me in class tomorrow before our quiz. Okay? Adios!